Hello everyone, this is part 12 of What If Naruto Came Back to Claim His Family's Name, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Day 1. God help me, yelled Rick as he fell to the ground. Come on, we only ran 50 laps, you still have 50 more, said Naruto as he looked down at Rick, who was covered with sweat. 50 laps with 25 extra pounds of weights on every single one of my legs and arms, yelled Rick. So Lee runs with 150 pounds on each of his arms and legs, said Naruto, that is 600 extra pounds. Yeah, but he is a training freak, yelled Rick back. True, but he is the best taijutsu ninja in the entire village, and I noticed that you love to get in close to your enemy, said Naruto. This will allow you to move faster and to stay close to your opponent. What if my opponent keeps me at a distance? Asked Rick. If you move fast, you won't have to worry about that. However, we will be doing some long-range training later. Now get up and run or QB will have a snack, said Naruto as the QB licked his lips. Across town, Sakura and Hinura stood in a small training field under the Hokage Tower. Sakura-sensei, what are we doing down here? Asked Hinura. I asked the Hokage if we could use this room for your training, said Sakura as she reached into a bin and pulled out a volleyball. Now today your job is to not be hit by the volleyballs. So we are playing a game? Asked Hinura as Sakura's hands started to glow as she threw a volleyball at the wall. Hinura jumped out of the way. The wall took the force of the blow, left a huge crater in the wall. This is no game, said Sakura with an evil grin as Hinura's eyes widened in fear. As Fox, Sakura sat in the corner laughing as Hinura dodged the incoming volleyballs. In a rocky area about 2 miles outside the village, Minato dodged another wave of kunai by moving behind a large rock. Man, this guy is crazy, thought Minato as he listened for Sasuke. Suddenly he heard a swish in the air. Minato ducked just as Sasuke's sword clashed against the stone where Minato's head used to be. The sword stuck came so close that it cut some of his hair off. Minato rolled and pulled out his mace as he jumped up and turned to face Sasuke. Very good, Minato, said Sasuke as he pulled out his sword from the stone. Thank you, sensei, said Minato as he smiled at Sasuke. You are the type of sensei I wish I would have gotten from the start. Understood, but remember, never forget you are part of a team and those you abounded their friends are SC, said Sasuke before he lowered his head and spoke again. I forgot that once and it led me on a path that would have killed me. Luckily my teammates Naruto and Sakura didn't abound me. They brought me back, showed me the light. I will never forget that, sensei, said Minato. Good, said Sasuke with a grin, now prepare to defend yourself. With that, Sasuke attacked Minato and began a close weapon fight. Day 7. Sakura watched a Hinura struggle to save the S-fish. Took on a student, I see, said Tsunade as she walked up to both Sakuras. Hello Lady Hokage, said Sakura. Sakura, I am your master and friend, please call me Tsunade when I am not working, said Tsunade as she looked on as Hinura finally got the fish to come back to life. Yes Sakura-sensei, I did it, yelled Hinura as she jumped for joy. Good. Then we only have a session with the volleyballs and then we are done for today, said Sakura. Hey Sakura, do you mind if I join you? I wouldn't mind having some fun, asked Tsunade as Hinura's eyes widened in fear. 1 volleyball coming at you was bad, but 2 was a nightmare. Sure, said Sakura with a grin. In a tree overlooking a small lake. Ya ladies, take it off, said Jiraiya as he sat in the tree with a telescope in hand. This is the Toad Sage, asked Rick. Sadly it is, said Naruto. Hey pervert, did you bring what I asked for? Yeah, here it is. They are sealed inside, said Jiraiya as he tossed a scroll at Naruto without even looking. Thanks pervy sage, said Naruto. Fine, just go, I need to my research, said Jiraiya as Naruto, QB and Rick walked away. The sound of metal hitting metal filled the air. Minato was covered with small cuts as he blocked another of Sasuke's sword swings. Only to get knocked down by a kick to the gut. We are done for today, Minato, you have improved greatly, said Sasuke as he deactivated his Sharingan. Sensei, I know that you are a lot better than me, but it seems that my mace is slowing down my movements, said Minuto as he sat down. Yes, I noticed that, said Sasuke as he too sat down. I believe that a mace is the wrong weapon for you. What mace is my clan's weapon? Everyone in my clan knows how to use them, said Minuto. Knowing and using are two different things. Besides, your clan would want you to be the best ninja possible, and to do that you need a different weapon, said Sasuke, and I think I know what weapon. Day 28, one day before the Chunin final exam. Naruto watched as Rick did his new moves on a tree. In a few minutes the tree looked like it had gone through a wood chipper. Very good, Rick, you're ready, said Naruto. Thank you for everything, Sensei, said Rick. Thank me by doing your best, said Naruto. Metal clashed against metal again in the rocky field outside the village. Very good, Minuto, we are done, said Sasuke. Yes, Sensei, these new weapons are a lot better than my mace was, said Minuto as he put his new toys away. I believe those are weapons for you, said Sasuke, with them you are not weighed down by an unbalanced mace. Yes, said Minuto. Minuto, you are ready, but remember, whatever happens, no matter if your two other teammates do not become Chunin, they are still you teammates and your friends, said Sasuke. I understand, but it doesn't stop me from becoming stronger than them, said Minuto. No, it doesn't, said Sasuke with a grin. Back at the Hokage Tower, Sakura and Hinura were playing a very interesting game. They had one volleyball. Sakura would hit it toward with a chakra-powered punch, and Hinura who would summon her chakra and hit it back. After a while Sakura caught the ball. Very good, Hinura, you have improved more than what I could ever hope, said Sakura. Thank you, Sakura-sensei, said Hinura. Now go home and rest, you'll need your strength, and remember, just do your best, said Sakura. I will, Sensei, said Hinura as she ran home. Day of exam. Naruto, Sakura and Sasuke stood by the entrees to the area. So you guys ready to watch the kids go at it? Asked Naruto. Yeah, but I know that Hinura will do great, she has improved far and fast, said Sakura. Ah, here she comes. Naruto and Sasuke looked up to see Hinura. She was wearing an outfit that almost matched Sakura's when she was a teen. She had a gray sleeveless shirt with a black skirt and shorts. Also, instead of normal ninja sandals, she had a pair of black boots, and clearly visible in the right boot was the handle of a blade. Her handband was on her forehead. The metal look matched with her silvery hair. Sakura-sensei, Naruto-sensei, said Hinura as she bowed her head. How are you doing, Hinura? You look like you have improved, asked Naruto. I have, but I am a little scared, but I feel that I will do good, said Hinura. I know that you will do good, said Sakura as Sasuke looked down the road. Looks like my student is here, said Sasuke as a Minuto walked up to the group. He was wearing an all-black set of pants and shirt. He had a half cap that covered his back and his right side. Minuto, you look like you have gotten stronger, said Sakura. I have, Sakura-sensei, said Minuto in a calm voice. Sasuke-sensei is the perfect sensei for me. How long did it take you to get him to call you sensei? Asked Naruto to Sasuke. Day 1, said Sasuke with a grin. By the way, dope, where Rick is? I am right here, said Rick. Everyone looked to see how much Rick had changed. My god, Rick, is that you? Asked Hinura as she looked at her teammate. He looked completely different. Gone were the t-shirt and shorts. Instead, he stood there in a white traveling coat with the hood up covering the upper part of his face. He had white pants that lead to brown boots. In between the coat and the pants was a red slash. On his chest were 4 kunai, and she could see handles of at least 2 more on his back. However, the biggest change was at his arms. At both of his arms from elbow to wrist were arm guards, but this arm guards were covered with plate metal. His hands were covered with fingerless black leather gloves. His headband was no longer on his head, but now was barely visible, engraved into the metal of his right arm band, and right next to it was another side that looked like 2 swords crossing each other. Think Assassin's Creed outfit. Yes, Hinura, it is me, said Rick. Wow, said Hinura, you looked great. So do you, and you to Minuto, shall we go in? Said Rick as all 3 genin walked in. Naruto-kun, what were those things on Rick's arms? Asked Sakura. You'll see, Sakura-chan, said Naruto with a foxy grin. You'll see. Shikamaru stood in the center of the field that had changed little since his time in it as a genin. The only major change was that they added a small pound on one of the edges, and the trees had grown a little. This is so troublesome, said Shikamaru as he looked up to where the 3 cages and the Princess of Snow Country sat. Sakazekage, why did you decide to come? I only came to see my daughter fight, but you only have 2 ninjas in this tournament and none of them are related to you, asked the Mizukage who was sitting next to Gaara. Simple to see my sister, she is married to that Jonin down there and second to get out of doing some paperwork, said Gaara. Yes, paperwork is no fun at all, said Tsunade as she sat on the opposite side of Gaara. Next to her sat the Snow Princess. In the stands Sasuke, Ino, Naruto and Sakura sat down next to Temari and her brother Kankuro. So Kankuro, isn't this Sabia kid your personal student? Asked Naruto. Yes, he is, and I am afraid that your little Rick isn't going to last 3 seconds against him, said Kankuro with a grin. We will see, said Naruto as Tsunade stood up. Welcome everyone to the finals of the Chunin exams. This tournament is to decide who, if any, of the 7 genin deserves the rank of Chunin. It is my honor to have 2 other cages of the lands of wind and water along with the Princess of Snow to watch as their ninjas battle for the rank. Now let's begin, said Tsunade as everyone cheered. Alright then, the same rules as last time, do I have to remind anyone? Asked Shikamaru when no one said anything. Alright then, Rick and Sabia stay here, the rest go to the stands. Good luck, Rick, said Hinura as she walked to the stands. Naruto-sensei, is that Rick? Asked Kinkura as she and the rest of his squad walked up. Yes it is, said Naruto with a grin. What are those things on his arms? Said Luke, I have never seen them before. I believe that no ninja nation uses them anymore. The last nation to use them was the destroyed Whirlpool Nation. I had Jiraiya travel to what was left of Whirlpool to find those. They are perfect for Rick's style of fighting, said Naruto with a grin. What do they do? Asked Lu. You'll see, said Naruto. Okay, are you 2 ready? Asked Shikamaru, to which both of them nodded. Okay, them fight. Everyone watched as neither Rick nor Sabia moved for a good minute. They just looked at each other. Well, looks like you are too scared to move, said Sabia as he reached for the large puppet on his back. So it looks like I will. With that, a huge human-looking puppet with 4 arms appeared. It was a good 10 feet tall and each of its arms was a different weapon. Rick just stood there looking up at the towering puppet. Slowly Rick raised his hands and made one hand sign. The moment he did, a cloud of thick white fog filled the air, blocking the sight of everyone. For a few seconds no one saw anything, then a loud scream filled the air before the fog cleared and showed that Rick was standing behind Sabia. Everyone watched as the huge puppet fell down, followed soon by Sabia. Well, that was fast. Rick wins, said Shikamaru as Kankuro's mouth hung open. Naruto-sensei, what just happened? Asked Kinkura. Look at Rick's arms, said Naruto as the genin looked toward Rick's arms. His fists were held tight. However, what surprised the genin and most jonin that saw them were the fact that a blade was coming out of both his arm bands and ran just under his palms. Think Assassin's Creed hidden blades, those blades were covered with red blood. That is when Kinkura noticed that both elbows and knees of the sand ninja were cut, making him unable to move. So that is what those things do. They hid spring blades, said Sasuke. Those are not normal for ninjas. Those are weapons for assassinations, not battle. I know, said Naruto. I noticed that Rick had so little chakra and he never seemed able to increase it. However, his physical SKS were almost as good as Lee back when he was a genin. Where are you going at, Naruto-kun? Asked Sakura as the medics came and took Sabia off the field. Did you guys notice that Rick's leaf symbol had another symbol next to it? One made out of 2 swords? Asked Naruto. Yes, but why does that matter? Asked Sakura. It is a sign of Rick's new ninja type, sort of like how the Medical Corps and the Anbu have their own symbol. Those swords are the symbol of Rick's ninja type, said Naruto as everyone's eyes widened. What type of ninja is he? I have never seen any group of ninjas use those things before. Asked Sakura. No, he is the first in this type of ninja in the leaf in over 100 years. It took a lot to convince the old lady to let me file Rick as that type of ninja, said Naruto with a smile. Stop playing around. What type is he? Asked Sasuke. He is an assassin type, said Naruto. Wait, an assassin? Asked Kinkura. Basically they are a little different, the Anbu ninjas. They take on assassination missions and other black missions. In most Anbu mission they want people to know that they did it so that people won't try to stand up against us. However, assassins takes people out and makes it look like someone other than us did it. They are more hidden the Anbu. They are not to enter long prolonged fights, they like short fast merciless KS. They are to slip in K their target and get out unseen, said Naruto. I see, and why did you think Rick would be good for this? Asked Sakura. Because assassin ninjas don't have a lot of chakra, it helps them pass off as non-ninjas, and they like Tai Justu so that they can get in close and use those hidden blades, said Naruto, things that Rick was already good at. As much as Sakura didn't like the idea, it was true Rick did fit all those things. But K without mercy. Rick isn't that cold, yelled Kinkura. True, but that rule only applies to the targets like it would for all ninjas. The assassin was original developed as a way to stop wars by king rogue leaders before they could start wars, said Naruto as Rick walked off the field. Naruto, what in the world did he do to my student? Yelled Kankuro as Naruto grinned. First he blinded him with the mist, next he cut the strings, and finally he cut the tendons in the elbow and back of the knees, said Naruto. Don't worry, all can be repaired. With that, Hinura and Sable both walked onto the field as Rick was walking off. Don't worry Hinura, you'll do great, said Rick as he put a hand on her shoulder. Thank you Rick, said Hinura as she walked to the center of the field. To face her enemy, there stood Sable of the Sand. Are you two ready? Asked Shikamaru as both female ninjas nodded their heads. Fight. In an instant Hinura charged forward, however just as fast Sable had pulled her fan off her back and started spinning it, causing a mini tornado to form. Hinura was blown back through the air. She was about to hit the wall when she pulled her long knife out of her boot and stuck it in the ground, stopping her from going into the wall. Things don't look good, Lady Hokage, said Gaara. Sable is almost as good as my sister back when she was a genin. Well, I hope Hinura wins, but she isn't a combat ninja, said Tsunade. Every ninja is a combat ninja, Hokage, said Mizukage. Hinura is a medical ninja, they are trained to heal first, fighting comes second. Therefore I don't expect her to win, but as long as she does well and passes a routine medical test, I think she will make Chunin in the medical corps, said Tsunade. I agree, Lady Hokage, said the princess from Snow. If she is a medical ninja, all she has to do is keep the enemy off her back the time she needs to heal her teammates. Back on the field, Hinura was hanging on her dear life. However, an idea jumped into her head. She built up the chakra in her fist and punched the ground, sending up a barrier of rocks to block the wind. Sakura-chan, you gave her your superhuman strength? Asked Naruto as Sakura grinned. You aren't the only one with secrets, Naruto-kun, said Sakura as Hinura ran out form under the rock barrier, ran a few yards towards Sable before punching the ground again, forming another rock wall. She did this 2 more times until she was 10 yards from Sable. Hinura came out for the final time, her knife in hand. However, as she ran towards Sable, she used her fan as a club, hitting Hinura into the air, before hitting her back to the ground onto one of her own rock barriers. Hinura was done. Winner is Sable, said Shikamaru as everyone cheered. In an instant, both Rick and Minuto were at Hinura's side. Hinura, are you alright? Asked Rick. I'll be fine, but Rick beat her into next week, will you? Asked Hinura. Consider it done, said Rick as the medical corps took her away. Rick walked back to the stands as Keiko walked down onto the field. Next match, Minuto Morino and Keiko Watanabe, said Shikamaru. Ready, begin. Boruto stood facing the daughter of the Mizukage. She was dressed in all black like him, but she didn't have the cape, instead she had a clearly visible katana instead. Why don't you just give up now and save yourself the embarrassment of losing to a girl, said Keiko. I don't give up, said Minuto. Fine then, said Keiko as she pulled out her katana. Looks like I get to have some fun today after all. Come on, said Minuto as he reached back into his cap. In an instant, Keiko charged forward toward Minuto, and much to the surprise of his teammates, instead of pulling out his maces, he pulled out 2 short covered blades maybe 2 feet long. The sound of clashing metal filled the air as both of them started to attack each other. Keiko would come in with a swinging and Minuto would block it. The same thing happened to Minuto when he came in. Suddenly both of them jumped away. Well, you're not as bad as I thought you were, said Keiko. Looks like I will have to kick this up. Suddenly a light filled the air, blinding almost everyone. After the light faded, Keiko was gone. In her place stood a young pure black fox with the same katana in her mouth. You're doomed now. In this form I am more powerful than ever. No matter what form you're in, I will beat you, said Minuto. Sakura-sensei, Naruto-sensei, isn't that your bloodline limit? Asked Kinkura. Yes it is, said Naruto as Sasuke, Ino, Temari and Kankuro looked at him. You have a bloodline limit, dupe? Asked Sasuke. Thanks to the fox seal we do, said Naruto as both he and Sakura pulled back the shirts to show the fox seal. Wait, Sakura has it too? Asked Ino. Well, as Naruto-kun's made the seal transferred that power to me, said Sakura with a smirk. The seal gives us the ability to turn into foxes, said Naruto. That still doesn't explain why she can do that too, said Ino. Over 1,000 years ago the founder of her clan had the Kyuubi's brother the five-tailed ice fox sealed in him. Therefore they have the same powers we do, but ours are stronger because the Kyuubi is a higher fox. No matter what, Minuto is in trouble in that form. Kiko is much more powerful, said Naruto as everyone looked back toward the fight. Minuto dodged another slash of the sword slash followed by Kiko's tail, who had turned her hair into something like hard sharp needles. You can't dodge forever, said Keiko as the sword started to glow a deep blue. Kiko slashed her sword into the air and sending out a wave of ice spears toward Minuto. Minuto started to run through hand signs and breathed out a huge fireball that destroyed the ice before it reached him. As the water melted away, forming steam. Using the steam as cover, Minuto ran to Kiko's side and came slashing down with his weapons. Kiko jumped away. Did you really think something as simple as some steam would stop me from knowing where you were at? Asked Kiko. However, suddenly her right front leg gave out and red blood ran down her leg. She looked and saw a deep cut on her shoulder. Sudden, in a flash of light, she changed back into a human. She led her shoulder with her hand. How did you cut me? I missed your blade. Look at my blades, said Minuto as Kiko looked and saw that from the tip of the blades were another 6 inches of glowing chakra. I see, said Kiko as her hand started to glow and suddenly she let out a scream. Before moving her hand away to reveal that her wound was now filled with solid ice. Impressive use of ice, said Sakura. She is using her ice to stop the bleeding. Won't the ice stop her from using her arm? Said Hinura as she and Shizune walked up. Hinura, should you up and moving? Asked Kinkura. I am fine, just a few broken ribs that Shizune easily healed. I just have to take it easily for a while, said Hinura. Yes, you're right, she won't be able to move that arm as good, said Sakura. Also, you did great. I am very proud of you. Same here, said Naruto as everyone went back to watching the battle. Impressive with the ice, said Minuto, but have more tricks up my sleeves. With that, Minuto charged forward, his covered blade swinging. Kiko kept using her katana to block, but then it happened. Minuto's blades came crashing on her left side. She blocked it with her katana, however Minuto's knee came up and got her in the gut, sending her back. Minuto followed it up by a quick kick to Kiko's face, sending her flying onto the ground. Minuto quickly ran up and disarmed Keiko before putting a blade to her end. I guess you win, said Kiko as he glared daggers at Minuto. It's not a guess, I win, said Minuto as he glared back. You win, said Kiko, this time. Your daughter did well, said Tsunade as Keiko was taken away by the medical ninjas. She failed and will be punished later, said the Mizukage. Why would you want to punish her? She did her best and put up a great fight, said Gaara. She is the best genin in her class, and my daughter, she should have crushed your ninjas, said Mizukage as the other 3 leaders glared at him. I think you are underestimating our ninjas, said Tsunade. The only reason why my daughter lost was because of that Naruto Namikaze that took away our clan's summons, said the Mizukage with hate in his voice. I read the reports about the incident and it sounded like it was the Kyuubi's decision and not Naruto's, said Tsunade. Besides, you still have that summons, he just now gets to pick who he wants to summon him. He should be able to control those beasts, but no, he has failed to control that power, said the Mizukage. I have met those so-called beasts and they seem to be nothing but kind and caring to those they care about, said Tsunade. If you let them free, then you can't use them as weapons, said the Mizukage as Rick and Sable walked to the center of the arena. Alright, are you two ready? Asked Shikamaru. Yes, said Sable as Rick only nodded. Okay then, begin, said Shikamaru, and right off the bat, Sable used her fan to make a tornado just like she did against Hinura. However, instead of trying to stand against it, the wind, Rick ran with the wind to his back toward the wall. What is he doing? Asked Kinkura as she watched as Rick ran toward the wall. Suddenly Rick flipped in the air so that his feet hit the wall and he started to run up the wall. Very smart, he using the force of the wind to propel him up the side of the wall, said Sasuke as Rick reached the top of the wall. Naruto, if Rick is one of these assassin types and they love to get in close, then how is he going to do that against someone like Sable? Asked Ino. I mean, she can keep him at a distance. Ino, Rick isn't likely. Rick does have long-range weapons, he is just better at close-quarter fighting, and I think I know what he is planning to do to Sable, said Naruto as Rick pulled out the 4 kunai from their holders on his chest. Rick started running along the outside wall, throwing kunai every once in a while, but he always missed each one, landing on the outer edge of the arena. Soon Rick was back where he started, but 4 kunai shorter. Looks like you wasted your time with your horrible throwing ability. Laughed Sable as Rick pulled out his last 2 kunai. However, he dropped one and it fell to the ground below him. See, you don't desire to be a Chunin if you drop one of your last kunai. Without saying a word, he threw his last kunai, his one head, right for Sable. Sable didn't even use her fan, instead she moved out of the way. You are really sad, said Sable as she looked down at the kunai before looking up to see Rick had formed a hand sign. Suddenly all 6 kunai started glowing, and the 4 he had thrown first and the one he dropped forms glowing lines of chakra in between each other, forming a star. The kunai he had thrown at her and herself stood in the center of the star. Suddenly the ground turned red and Sable fell to her knees. What did Rick do, Naruto-sensei? Asked Anur. Basically the kunai formed a seal that turned up the gravity under Sable so that she is unable to move, said Naruto with a smile. So his bad throws and dropping the kunai was all fake? Asked Luke. Yes, said Sasuke, everything he did was planned from the begin. I can't believe that Rick planned it all out, he seemed so dumb, said Kinkura. He is not dumb, said Hinura, you just never noticed. Back in the area, Rick jumped off the edge of the did a front flip as he flew through the air before landing. Everyone watched as Rick walked towards Sable. Do you give up? Never, said Sable. Okay then, said Rick as he sat down Indian style and began to run through hand signs. Suddenly the red center turned yellow and Sable fell onto all 4s. Now do you give up? What are you doing? Asked Sable. I just increased the gravity in there from 5 times to 10. Said Rick, I can take this all the way up to 20 times gravity, but at that level you will s. Fine, you win. I give up, said Sable as Rick ran though more hand signs and the star faded and the ground returned to normal. Winner is Rick, said Shikamaru as everyone started clapping as Rick walked away. In minute and the snow ninja, Neve, walked in. Neve all white uniform clashed so much with the black of Minuto. Neve had snow white long hair and white eyes so much like a Hyuga. Are you two ready? Asked Shikamaru as both of them nodded their heads. Begin. Neve quickly ran through hand signs. When she stopped, a huge snowstorm appeared out of nowhere. It soon disappeared and revealed that the field was now covered with snow. Looks like she covered the field with snow to give her an upper hand, said Gaara. Yes, but must have taken a lot of chakra, said Tsunade. No it didn't, said Kayuki, Princess of Snow. She has a bloodline limit that allows her to cover the terrain in snow without using much chakra. I can see where that can very useful, said Mizukage. Not many ninjas are experienced in fighting in snow. Welcome Minuto, said Neve in a calm, almost ghost-like voice. In this snowy death trap I control everything, so you might as well give up. Like I said to the last person I fought, I do not give up, said Minuto as he pulled out his covered blades. So let's fight. As you wish, said Neve. Eyes started to glow. What is going on here? Eyes are glowing, said Gaara. She is using the other side of her bloodline limit, said Kayuki. Everyone watched as the sand started to move on its own. The sand acted just like the sand does for Gaara. Now do you give up? I can control all the snow and with my bloodline limit I can create more snow. This gives me unlimited weapons, said Neve. No, I always loved a good fight, said Minuto as the snow started to attack him. Minuto spun around his blades cutting the snow. You can't last forever, said Neve as Minuto jumped in the air and started to run through hand signs. When he landed back on the ground his blades were now glowing red hot. Sasuke, what is that jutsu? Asked Ino. It is a lower level Uchiha jutsu that is taught to most jonin who use bladed weapons. It turns the blades red hot, said Sasuke as Minuto started to cut the snow again, but this time the snow melted into steam. You can't win every once of snow you melt, I make 3 more, said Neve as Minuto rolled away from the snow that was trying to crush him. Minuto formed another hand sign. Suddenly a blinding flash of light. My eyes, yelled Neve as she covered her and the snow stopped moving. In an instant Minuto had ran up to Neve and placed his blades on their side of her end, forming a cross. I win, said Minuto as Shikamaru raised his hand. Okay, winner is Minuto Morino. In 10 minutes we will begin the final round between Rick and Minuto Morino, both of the Leaf Village, said Shikamaru as everyone started cheering. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.